Hello. So I have for you a little kind of cozy early morning book haul, and I have some fun books here. Like in this case, um, June was a book month. It's July now, so I'm not buying any more books, but I do have a bunch like coming from June. But either way, in this case, I started going a little bit crazy with my Amazon wish list because I feel like as these book months become more spread out, because the way I do books right now, and future Aurora will definitely put a LOL in front here if this is no longer the case, which is whenever I talk about my book buying habits, always the case, every single time. But what I do is in a book month, I can basically do whatever the hell I want. And then my non-book months get like extended by a month. So my first book month was January, and I didn't buy any books in February. My second book month was March, and I didn't buy any books for 2 months. Then it was June, now I got 3 months, so my next book month is gonna be October. So let's get into it. I had a lot of fun. Let's get started. First up, Game Changer by Rachel Reed. This is a part of the same series that Heated Rivalry is in. And I know that Heated Rivalry, I think it's technically the second book in the series, but the series like this doesn't really matter all that much. But it gets a lot more, people talk about a lot more than they talk about Game Changer. But I really liked Heated Rivalry. I thought it was very well done, so I did pick this up. I hope that her other books in the series get picked up by like, she was self-published, and then the first two got picked up by a traditional publisher, so I'm hoping that the other ones end up getting printed in paperback as well. Either way, I'm excited. Then I've got a continuation of a series. I got The Seeker by Melinda Metz. This is book 3 in the Roswell High series. All right, I've got a book from the author of Annie on My Mind that I didn't know existed, and it's very interesting because I think a lot of people, like, for her it's like Annie on My Mind and then they tap out. But this is Endgame, and this is about this is a school shooting book. That's what this is, and I guess like when people write these great classics like Annie on My Mind, people don't tend to realize that for most authors it's not like one and done. This book came out in 2006, so it is a very post-Columbine. Ooh, okay. Yeah, so the person who encouraged her to write this was from Littleton, Colorado, so I'm guessing it's very, very heavily inspired. So it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting. All right, next about the manga is the first volume of I Think Our Son is Gay by Okura, which looks very cute, honestly. This is about this mom, and she's pretty sure that her older son is gay, but like she wants him to like deal with it all in his own time. And I've seen like little like sections of it, and it looks very, very cute. All right, The Sailor Who Fell from Grace with the Sea by Yukio Mishima. This is the same guy who wrote Confessions of a Mask, which I haven't read but do have in the book wall. And he appears to be a pretty, based on both of those things, a pretty lauded figure when it comes to disturbing Japanese fiction. This is one where people did compare it to Lord of the Flies, mostly because it does deal with young boys doing terrible things. Is what I'm getting from this one, but I'm excited. Right, we got some true crime. We got The Queen. We got Mara Leverett. We do have The Boys on the Tracks. I of course have read Devil's Knot and Dark Spell. But recently I did, and I've always known about this book. I always kind of had my thoughts put out towards it, like maybe someday I'll pick it up and read it. Recently I did watch Wendigoon's video about The Boys on the Tracks, and he mentioned it. It's like, oh right, yeah, that's a book, so I just bought it. But this is another terrible Arkansas true crime thing. All right, we've got The Serpent and the Wings of Night by Carissa Broadbent. I've heard that this is absolutely terrible. I'm not gonna lie, this is like a romantasy. It was one of the earlier ones. It really did kind of hop onto the train pretty early in the first couple cars, I'd say. But it does have a very pretty undercover thing, so we will see. We'll see if it's terrible. It probably is. I'm not gonna lie. All right, another manga. Go For It Nakamura by Suende, which is another one that I have had my hand for a while. It's about this kid, and he's just, you can see he's very, very tense. He's got a crush on this guy around here, and he's just it looks very cute. Again, this is one that I have had my eye on for a while. All right, Confidence by Raphael Frumkin, which I saw in one of Savvy Race Books videos. But this is about a couple of guys who meet at like basically a juvenile detention center situation, and then they start conning people, which looks super fun. It looks super fun. I love the cover. It's gonna be a good time. All right, next, I finally picked up The Angel of Indian Lake by Stephen Graham Jones. This came out earlier this year. I mean, I do think that Stephen Graham Jones is like the best contemporary horror author writing today. I think that he knocks everybody else out of the park. Every single book I read by him, I have enjoyed. Probably the worst is probably like Night of the Mannequins or something like that. I don't know. I've read 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of his books, and like Hard as a Chainsaw, the Indian Lake trilogy is everything. The Only Good Indians is beautiful. Mongrels is underrated, and then Night of the Mannequins was fine. But no, I'm excited to finish up the Indian Lake trilogies because the first 2 were just so amazing. They're beautiful, and I am very excited, and I love this cover. I love it so much. All right. Different for Boys by Patrick Ness. Patrick Ness, I feel like he has been coming out with stuff. He's just not as big as he used to be. Right after More Than This came out, he was huge for a good chunk of time. That's why Monster Calls was kind of his big one after that. But he kind of fell off a little bit. Clearly he's still writing books. He's still getting published. And this one looks interesting, kind of artistic. Should be a fun time. All right, then I went to a thrift store and I found 2 Animorphs books that I do not yet have. So I have The Journey and The Test. So that is 42 and 43. Animorphs, like Goosebumps, these are a childhood series that I'm collecting in the original covers. Animorphs really didn't have as many re-releases as Goosebumps did, so it's like, it's not like you can do anything but the original covers, but still, I still specify that. So that's exciting that I have. I don't believe I have either of these. I might have this one, I don't know, but I know for sure I don't have this one because I would remember that. I would. All right. Recently, I reread technically, Words of Radiance, and I just have to admit that as I am now not 17 years old, I appreciate and really do like Brandon Sanderson. I do. I think he is actually a phenomenal writer, and I know this is not news to anybody, but Words of Radiance, it was so good. Anyway, I have Oathbringer, and I have it in hardcover. His books are so long that I'm like, I am reading these in giant, beautiful hardcovers, or I'm not reading them at all. So I do have Oathbringer. I did get this one used, and it's like a little bit gross. And like I get a lot of books used, like this is not a new thing, but this one is like kind of exceptionally a little gross. But it's okay. It's okay. It's a hardcover. It's beautiful. I'm excited to continue on. And yes, I did pre-order the 5th book. And yes, I do have the continuation of a series, Yoroth the Wolf by Cherry Wilder. And then I have the first book in a series that I really enjoyed when I was in high school. And this series, this first book here has a different title than it does in the paperback because I don't even really know why. It's Flame by Hilary Bell, otherwise known as Fall of the Kingdom. And I read them in like little Massmore paperbacks, but I want them in I'm a hardcover person now. I didn't used to be so pretentious, but I'm a hardcover person now, so I have this one. I'm kind of regretting not buying the other 2 during the book month, but you know what? That's fine. I have the first volume in a manga series that I am starting to collect. That is the first volume of Devils and Realist. I read I think the 11th book. It came in like a random lot of manga on eBay, and I decided to go back to the start. So I do have this. I have a Goosebumps Slappy World book, and that is My Friend Slappy. When I'm doing the Goosebumps, like I'm talking all the Goosebumps, and so yeah, the classic, 62 volume, but also Slappy World is involved, and so it's Hall of Horrors and 2000 and everything. It's everything. All right, another series. I've read the first 2 books in the series, but when I start something, I'm gonna finish it. So I do have Towers of Midnight. This is the 13th Wheel of Time book. I've read the first 2, and I do have now up through 13. So there's that. Another fantasy. I've been on a fucking fantasy kick lately. I don't really know how to feel about that because I did for so long. I was like, I don't really even like fantasy, but that's not like true. That's not true at all. Empire of the Damned by Jay Kristoff. This is the sequel to Empire of the Vampire, which I really enjoyed when it came out. This one, it looks smaller, but it's like got those Bible pages, so it's like 700 pages long. So we'll see. We'll see. All right. This one by mentioning that the only reason why I bought this is because the author is actually from North Dakota, and that is why I knew she existed in the first. Because there's a whole bunch of controversy around this author, but I first saw her right after the Roe v. Wade thing, and she was talking about living in North Dakota, and I was like, "Oh, cool, North Dakota," and I hit follow. Then everything came out. It's The Night and Its Moon by Piper CJ. I have, yes, watched Reads with Rachel's entire like video thing about how terrible this book is, but now I'm like kind of curious. So I'm like, so I got it. All right, Wolf Song by TJ Klune. I've heard nothing but good things about TJ Klune. He's kind of become like a little bit of a star in the fantasy world. And I remember back when people were first starting to talk about him, but I do think that I should probably get started. And then we finally have two more. We have two more mangas. These last two. We have Dekoboko Sugar Days by Atsuko Yusen, and yes, it is in English this time. I bought this before, but it was in German. So now it's in English, and I speak English, so that's wonderful. And I also, continuation of a series that I'm working on, Dead Man Wonderland, Volume 5. So yeah, that's that book haul. There'll be a couple more, you know, in July. And then once August hits, the only books I'll be getting are pre-orders, or like I have 2 subscription boxes. So I'll be 1 book of the month book, and then there are 3 little it's like a manga subscription thing. So that's that. I had to go put these in the book wall. Maybe I'll add some to my immediate TBR. Maybe that'll be a fun thing for me to do. But yeah, that's all. I'll talk to you later, and goodbye.